So this is the 2020 annual meeting. Thank you all for joining the league or being part of the league and being part of this 2020 meeting. We're recording it, so people who are not on tonight will be able to watch the recording. And I believe this is our third annual meeting. I've only been a member for the last 2 years, so I wasn't around prior to that. I can't promise this will be error-free, but we'll do our best. So I just want to start off acknowledging that we're 100 years old, the league is 100 years old, and of course the 19th Amendment is 100 years old. And we have that saying, hard won, not done. I think we're all aware of some of the sorts of voter suppression and voting issues, things that are going on, making voting difficult to do, and that's the work that is not done. So there's still plenty for the league to continue with. On the poster here, we've got a poster that was created for us, and that is really just for us by a friend of Nona Bindings. Her name is Nicole Lanius, I think it is. So I want to acknowledge her and the really nice poster she did for us. So the annual meeting agenda, I think this will go fairly quickly. We're going to go through a few little Zoom tips. I think most of you are pretty good at Zoom, so I don't think we'll have any problems with that. But then we'll also go and look back at last year, some of the things we did, also some of our real achievements, and we had, I think, some real major achievements. Our chapter has done a lot. We have a very special message from Joy Cardin. I'm sure most of you know is a public radio personality and is also on the state board for the, or on the board for the State League of Women Voters. So that'll be a real treat. Then Kristen is going to tell us a little bit about social media tips and how to amplify our voice on social media. And we'll go over the voting, which will not be part of this meeting, but it's on a ballot that all of our members have received, and the voting should be done by July 29th. We'll vote on officers, next year's program, and the budget. Then we'll just wrap up with a thank you. So the first thing to cover a little bit is the screen view. We thought about having a little tutorial on the screens, but realizing screens look different for everyone depending on their settings or their operating system. So if there's a problem viewing the screen, like the gallery and the photos and names are in the way, you can usually minimize those or drag them out of the way. And again, this is being recorded, so if anybody has a difficulty tonight, they can go back and look at the recording. If you'd like to communicate during the meeting, please use the Zoom chat box. We don't have a lot of people on, so if you need to unmute yourself and speak up, please do so. But the Zoom chat box should work most of the time. Then if there's anything that you'd like to get out but don't want to use Zoom chat or unmute yourself, just text me or Kristen, and I'll leave those phone numbers up for a short time so you can see them. My phone number is 920-627-6641, and Kristen's is, whoops, I got this in the way. Kristen's is 917-892-0687. I'm going to go back to the presentation there. Okay, so now going into our year in review. As I said, I think we had a really good year. Back in July, we invited to speak at our meeting Eloisa Gomez. She's an author. Lives in Milwaukee. She's a member of the League of Women Voters in Milwaukee. And she's an author, co-author of a book, which we've shown up here. It's Voices of Wisconsin Latina Activists. And I think the real takeaway with her presentation was that although the League has a is very motivated to increase diversity, one way of doing that, especially initially, is by working with the many well-established and active minority organizations that already exist. And in our community, we do have quite a few. So of course, we want to encourage people from all cultures to join the League of Women Voters, and I think our mission aligns with many of them. But they are already doing good work in their own organizations, and we can work alongside them, and we can increase our diversity that way. That was one of her messages. Then in September, that was a time, you may recall, where many families were being separated at the border, and there was a lot of concern within our own chapter about that. And we were able to bring one of the ACLU community outreach specialists to Sheboygan for our September meeting, Emilio DeTore, and he talked about immigration myths and facts. And one of the neat things that he covered there was he told us about a book that we could get online on an immigrant rights booklet. And we were able then to secure a private grant and print 1,800 of the booklets in English and in Spanish. And then we took Eloisa's suggestions to heart, and we distributed those booklets at some of the businesses around town that are frequented by different minorities in the immigrant community, and even to other organizations that, again, have a more diverse membership. So that was, I think that was a really nice project that we accomplished, and we're really proud of that. And in October, I really liked this one. This was a presentation that our environment committee did, or a little seminar that they had at the library. And those environment committee members were getting tired of hearing about all the gloom and doom on climate change, and felt like if we're just talking about what's bad, people don't have an incentive to do anything about it. They feel like there's no hope. So the message here was that there are things, good progress is being made in some areas in climate change, and some people really are taking it to heart and getting things done. So we had a representative from Arch Electric there talking about their solar panels and other renewable energy projects, and then a representative from Alliant Energy. And that was a real surprise to me, how much Alliant Energy is doing. And it was a very well attended presentation. It was very nice. Then in November, we had a woman from the League in Appleton come and talk about one of the Electoral College reform projects. It's called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. And what it does is it ensures that whoever wins the popular vote also then wins the presidency. And the League does have, as one of its goals, larger Electoral College reform, and this is one step along that way. Then in January, we've been having meetings about every other month. We had Mary Lynn Donahue come to talk about fair maps. And this chapter is really fortunate, I think, of the number of people we have, a number of members we have who have firsthand experience in some of the issues that the League is fighting for. So Mary Lynn Donahue, you all know, was a plaintiff in a gerrymandering case that was argued before the US Supreme Court. So unfortunately, that didn't go quite the way that the plaintiffs or the League would have wanted, but that fight isn't over either. So, and this presentation is available on our website. You can go to the website and watch it there, and you can share it, I believe. In February, we partnered with the State Historical Society and the local County Historical Society, and we had an event at the Historical Society Museum. We had a speaker from the State Historical Society, and we had some comments by the First Lady, and she brought the governor along, so that was really nice, special. The whole day was really quite a special surprise, I think, for us, and a nice opportunity. And what I learned from this is you really just have to go out and ask people. So we'd approach the First Lady to see if she was available. She happened to be available that day, and it just worked out really well. So you've always got to ask. We had a great turnout that day too. And the Historical Society did a really nice job. Then later that month, we had a party at Three Sheeps. That was kind of light attendance, but it was a lot of fun, and we'd like to do that again. So that was, again, a 100-year celebration. In March, we started to move to online meetings. So that was our first online meeting, and it was a movie screening. And we had Eileen from the State League do some Q&A and lead some discussion about voter suppression, and specifically some of the things that had occurred in the Georgia gubernatorial election. And this was a very good movie. It's available on the web, and you can also borrow our DVD. The league purchased the DVD. So we also, in March, took advantage, I guess, of the fact that we couldn't get out, and the Voter Access Committee did a nice job of transferring their in-person school visits to an online lesson and quiz that the teachers were able to use and share with their students. And I think that was very well received, and I think that is even being shared with other leagues. Then we came into April, and of course there was a big hubbub about the election there, and a little bit of uncertainty as to what would happen. Our elected officials assured us that it was incredibly safe to vote in person, and maybe with adequate PPE it was, but the league is promoting early voting and mail-in ballots, definitely through this pandemic, and as alternatives to voting in person anytime. It can often be easier, and it would certainly alleviate some of the lines at polling places in some more congested areas. And this is one of the examples of how we are promoting early voting and mail-in ballots. The Voter Access Committee again created a bilingual sheet on Safe Voting 101. This is on our website. The one up here, of course, is in Spanish, but the first option up there is voting by mail, and that's identified as the safest option. And it tells how you can request a ballot, that you need to get a witness, and how you can submit your ballot. Second option is voting early. Tells how to figure out how to vote in person, locate your voting station if you're going to vote early, and the dates and times that you can go, and how to register if you go there also. And then option 3 for safe voting is vote during non-peak hours. So just another review of some of our achievements. We had a total of 24 or more community registration events, within the community or at colleges and other institutions. The Environmental Committee had 3 events, one of which was that very well attended presentation on the good news regarding climate change. I think this is a real highlight. Kristen determined that from April 2019 to April 2020, we actually, the Sheboygan County actually had an increase of about 2,000 registered voters. So that's about 3%. And we know we had a hand in that. We don't know how many we are directly responsible for, but we know we had a hand in that. So I think we can all be really proud of that. We received 3 pretty significant private grants to support our mission in the community. One was the grant to print those booklets on immigrant rights. Then there were a couple other grants that were not for specific activities, but we have and will put them to good use. Then we took all of these achievements that I've got here, others that I haven't had time to mention, and information on the presentations we had throughout the year. We put that into an application to the State League, and we won first place in a leadership award competition for the State League, and that came with a $250 prize. So again, that's something we can be very proud of. We also received a $500 grant. That was a DEI grant to create materials in English, Spanish, and Hmong. That was a grant from the National League. So that was a very competitive application. And again, we won $500. So we're very excited about that. Now we've got a special message from Joy Cardin. And I'm going to play this. And
Hello, I'm Joy Cardin. If you're a Wisconsin Public Radio fan, you may remember me as the host of the Joy Cardin Show, an early morning call-in show on the Ideas Network. I retired about 3 years ago, so I could do some things that my work schedule wouldn't allow me to do, but I still wanted to be involved in the public service aspects of my job. I found that opportunity with the League of Women Voters. I joined the Dane County chapter soon after I retired, and I was honored last year to be nominated to serve on the board of directors of the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin. The League's mission to empower voters and defend democracy is incredibly important and so far-reaching. It couldn't be done without the voter advocacy, education, and engagement work done by local leagues around the state. And getting that message out through your strong communications and marketing committees is making a big difference in the new focus, making democracy work. Today, I'd like to thank one of the newest league chapters in the state, the League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County. Rechartered just 2.5 years ago after being inactive for decades, your league has capitalized on all of its youthful enthusiasm and has taken empowering voters to heart. The Sheboygan County League was recognized just a few months ago with a Membership and Leadership Development Award. Your Voter Access Committee has diligently assisted hundreds of eligible voters to register, and the Environment Committee has been equally active in educating the community about policy issues. Like all successful leagues, the success of the League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County has been a team effort. But Sheboygan County's Board of Directors wants to acknowledge one particular member who has been an integral part of the group since it was reactivated in December of 2017. The League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County is awarding its first Making Democracy Work Award to Chapter Communications Director Kristen Casey Booth. Kristen contributed to both the Environment Committee as a member and former co-chair, to the Voter Access Committee as a member and current co-chair. She has been a member of the Board of Directors for nearly 3 years. As the chapter's communications director, she used her technological and creative skills to establish the chapter's social media presence. She monitors and manages the chapter website, the Instagram account, Twitter feed, and Facebook page. She designed and secured yard signs, street banners, and league signage for Get Out the Vote campaigns. She uses her organizational skills, creativity, and technological knowledge to effectively publicize chapter programs and activities and recruit and schedule volunteers. These past few years, Kristen has been especially active in voter registration and access, determined to increase the number of registered voters and increase voter turnout. Last year, she secured a grant from the State League to cover registration outreach to eligible students and was instrumental this spring in obtaining the DEI grant from the National League to help promote early and absentee voting in minority communities. Kristen worked with committee members to create 6 public service announcements on voter registration, and when COVID-19 prevented league volunteers from meeting with high school students, Kristen and her committee created an online lesson and assessment tool for teachers to use as a part of their virtual curriculum. Kristen is a trained poll worker, keeps abreast of developments and issues in Wisconsin election law, as well as changes to local polling procedures, and tirelessly defends the integrity of our voting process. She does all this while juggling the full-time responsibilities and rigors of raising 2 young boys. I'm exhausted just reading about all of her accomplishments. The League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County honors, celebrates, and thanks Kristen Casey Booth, winner of the chapter's 2020 Making Democracy Work Award. Congratulations, Kristen.
Well, thank you, Kristen. Now, in fact, I'm going to unmute Kristen, and she has more work to do. She's going to tell us how we can use social media to amplify our voice. And hang on, it might take me a couple minutes to do this. Are you there, Kristen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thanks for the surprise.
You're welcome.
Goodness, guys, now I'm like crying on a recorded video. Okay. Well, I think we are all inspired to be doing this work, and you guys inspire me every day. So thank you. Jeez Louise. Ridiculous. You should have warned me.
Oh, it was really hard to keep that video out of your hands.
All right. Thank you, guys. So we're recording. So here we go. To amplify your voice, the best thing all of our members can do from home is to amplify our voice on social media. So you can do it from your couch, you can do it from your kitchen, wherever. Go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our handle is always LWV Sheboygan, easy to remember. The easiest and most impactful one, I think, is Facebook. So here you see what Jane has up here is a screenshot of how you are going to make sure you see our posts first. Because sometimes, whatever, you're not paying attention, it stops showing up in your feed, whatever your algorithm is. I don't even understand how Facebook works. So what you want to do is turn on your notifications with this, just like in the photo, and set it to see first, so you never miss anything that we post. And once you see our posts, you like them, you put a little heart there, a little thumbs up, and you share it with your personal group. And that will increase our visibility in our community like thousands and thousands of times. So if you go to the next slide, Jane, I think we have the other, yeah. So we have made actually a bunch of really great graphics lately. I worked with the city clerk in Sheboygan County, in the city of Sheboygan, and they went through this really great absentee ballot processing infographic, which is step-by-step tells you exactly how an absentee ballot is processed from start to finish, once you request it to when it's counted in the election. So that one's already out there. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and see them and like them. So I'll go through this. Twitter is my least favorite because I'm old and I just don't get it and it's overwhelming. But if you go to Twitter and you have a Twitter account and you follow us, you can click the retweet button, which increases, again, our visibility. And don't forget to put a little, click on the little heart there to like it, which also increases our visibility. On Instagram, you can just double tap on it to like it, and that increases our visibility. There's a way to send it, that little paper airplane you see, that little icon. You can send it, but that's just to individuals, and that just would be annoying if you did that to all your friends every day. So I won't tell you to do that, but if you really want to, you can. On Facebook, we went through again to like it, put the thumbs up, and share with your personal group, which is, publicly on your page, and that increases the visibility. So that's how you amplify our voice and get the word out in the community and hit people that don't normally look at league things or hang out with us. All right?
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And you're welcome, Kristen. I've been wondering why things don't show up on Facebook when I want them to, and things I don't want to see show up. I'll have to look at that. So on to voting. So normally we would take some time during this annual meeting to vote, but since it's not in person, we won't be doing it quite that way. Emergency measures were taken by the League of Women Voters in Wisconsin and at the national level that allowed all chapters to hold online annual meetings and use a written or an emailed ballot to vote for program, officers, and the budget. So we have done that as well. Ballots were sent out by email and they'll be returned. It was a survey, so it'll be done online, and you should vote by July 29th. Now, some people have already voted. That's of course fine as well. Just get the ballots in by July 29th. And according to our bylaws now, a quorum is those present, and in this case, it will be those voting. The quorum will be those voting. So again, the ballot is in the email. You can open that by clicking on the button, and then you'll vote electronically outside this meeting. So here, I guess this is another way to find it. If you haven't got the email anymore, you can go online and find it there under 2020 RSVP. Votes are due by the 29th. The nominated officers are on the ballot. You can write in a candidate, make sure that person has given you permission to nominate them. And I'm also going to make a call now for a vice president. We haven't identified a person for the vice president position. It's not that we don't have qualified people by any means. We're just trying to find someone who isn't already overcommitted in other aspects, I guess. So definitely welcome volunteers there. The vice president, of course, will help with running meetings in the president's absence or when the president is there, and will help with programming. And we do have a couple people working on programming already, so it won't be overwhelming, and we won't give people more than they can do. And it'll be a great learning experience. The other thing on the ballot will be next year's program. Each year members are asked for input on our key efforts, and that is what do we really want to focus on. So 5 potential areas of focus were identified, and you're going to choose your top 3 of the choices there. You can also write in your own idea under other. And one thing to remember here with the program is things are changing constantly. So for example, the September immigrant rights presentation and that activity was not planned. That was not a planned focus area this year, but we ended up spending a fair bit of time on it because it became an issue over the course of the year. So those things, of course, will happen. The last item to be voted on is the budget. I won't say anything about this. It was sent to everyone, and it's fairly self-explanatory. If there are questions, definitely contact the treasurer, Cheryl Andrus, with any questions. The budget is similar to, but not identical to previous years, and our chapter is operating in the black, so that's all good. Oh, now we're here to the wrap-up phase. So just want to thank everybody again for attending. Kristen has put up here some of the many products that we've produced and that are out there to help people learn about voting and get registered and get enthused. So with that, I think I'm going to turn off the recording, and if people would like to talk, I think we can do that.